Major electrical problems here. Okay, so maybe not so major, but it is really irritating. So my driver's side rear window will not roll down, and this side view mirror switch does not work whatsoever. And taking a look at the actual rear driver's side switch, if I hit it, nothing happens. In contrast, here on the rear passenger side, you can see my window actually works just fine. So something is going on with the wiring inside this door, I'm suspecting, unless it's simply this side view mirror switch that may be throwing things off. I have already checked all of my fuses here on the side of the dash, and they're all fine. Another somewhat strange part about this is this has happened before, and it somehow healed itself, so I kind of just forgot about it. Till a few weeks ago when I went to go roll the rear driver's side window down, and it just didn't roll down. And then I needed to adjust my side view mirrors to check for a curb, and those didn't work. So now I know that something is going on, I think, in this door, and it may very well be as simple as that switch for the side view mirrors. Now again, just doing basic poking around, I can press this switch and I can hear it click and I can see the lights dim, so I know the switch is working. On the other hand, with the side view mirror switch, I get nothing at all. So that's kind of a good clue telling me that it may just be this switch that's given up the ghost. So it looks like the only way to actually dig deeper into this problem is to remove the door panel, and that's what I'm going to do now. Luckily on these doors, this entire switch panel is removable without removing the whole door panel. So we're going to try this first. That is, if I don't break it. There we go. All right. All right, we got the panel out and we can see all of our wiring, and now we can see the back of this side view mirror switch. Okay, and we have a result. I don't know if you can tell, while it's not perfect, but this switch is moving the passenger side mirror, and that is good. So just by pulling this switch panel out and moving some of these wires around, I can see that we are getting a result. That tells me there's a short somewhere within this wiring. The other thing is, if I switch over to the driver's side and start trying to move the mirror does not move, but I can hear it clicking inside of the mirror. So I know, again, the switch is not bad, but we may have another problem. Now, as for the rear driver's side window, we're still not able to get it to roll down, though the switch does work. I'll go ahead and press the switch so we can see the lights dim. It's subtle, but you can see it. And pulling this panel off is particularly difficult because of these clips. And the last thing you want to do is break all your clips, so you definitely have to be careful, and it looks like I just broke a clip. Luckily, I have a bag of brand new clips. I have the door panel off, and I'm gonna dig a little deeper into this wiring, trying to figure out where the problem lies. Now you can see I recently changed out the speakers in this truck, and I'm gonna start there. Although I don't think it's anything that I did, because I'm pretty sure I remember this truck having this intermittent problem before I ever changed the speakers out. So I went ahead and pulled the mirror off of the actual motor mechanism, and then I sprayed some fluid film in here and in here. This is the motor that makes the mirror go left and right, and this is the motor that makes the mirror go up and down. This is the one that I'm suspecting is actually frozen. So if I get in here at the switch and try to move it left and right, we can see that this motor works just fine. But for this motor that moves it up and down, it's pretty much frozen. It's moving a little bit. There we go. Oh yeah, some fluid film to the rescue. That was down, but the up motion is definitely still frozen. Let's see if we can stick a screwdriver in there and help it out. Okay, so I have been able to stick a screwdriver inside that motor and help it while I was pressing the up and down, and it is moving. Go ahead and grab the switch, and I'm gonna press it down. There we go, that's down. Let's try up, and the up is working too. Awesome. Now that is super cool. We got the motor to work, and we know that nothing was shorted out, at least for the side view mirror. This driver's side view mirror is original, so these motors are just about 25 years old. They're just a little weak, and maybe we have the same issue for the rear driver's side window. We'll look into that next. What I'm doing at this point is just letting the motors run with plenty of fluid film in there to hopefully lube everything up, and it does seem like it is actually getting a little easier over time. It is picking up speed, and that probably is due to lubrication getting inside that motor. Just an FYI here, if you want to get this mirror off of here, all you do is just pull it straight out. It's only held on by 2 clips, one here and one here. Unfortunately, you can see my bottom clip here broke when I did this, so just be careful. These are 25-year-old parts, well, on my truck anyway. So I went ahead and pulled this motor out. There's 3 screws, one here, here, and up here. And the reason why I did that is because I noticed that we did have 4 smaller screws holding this sort of clamshell, assembly together. And so I pulled all the screws out, and what I want to do is look inside and try to see if I can lube these motors a little bit better, just so I don't have this problem anymore. So let's pull this open and just see what it looks like inside without hopefully ruining it all. Oh yeah. Look at that. We can throw some lube all through there. So what I'm seeing here is very, very simple parts. I probably have some motors on the shelf that if one of these went bad, I could just take the old one out and put a different one in. What I'll do for now though is test these out with this open, and I'll lube it up just to make sure that everything is good. If I find that one of these motors isn't working properly, I think what I'm gonna do is look for a replacement motor, and it'd be a simple fix. Okay, so I pulled the little gear out of there just so it wouldn't fly out when I do this, but I'm gonna go ahead and turn this motor on. And the motor seems to be working just fine. So what I'm guessing is that the lube in there was so gummed up, it was keeping the motor from actually moving. If I go ahead and grease this puppy up really good, like you can see it is on this side, then we shouldn't have a problem again. Okay, so I want to point out that I don't know if maybe I could just buy this whole motor mechanism for 20 bucks online. I don't know. I still have to look into that, but if you know me, you know my channel, you know that I like doing things on the cheap and as DIY as possible. So why not take some time to do this myself. I'm gonna go ahead and shoot some grease in here and get this really lubed up. This is really good grease, and hopefully we can give this thing a new lease on life. That's way more than I need, but whatever. All right, so we have the left and right motor working really good now. We got it completely lubed up on the inside, and the up and down motor working really good, completely lubed up on the inside. And I have also attempted a fix with that little plastic piece that broke off using super glue and baking soda. I'll let it dry for a little bit, and hopefully that'll be strong enough to not break again when I push the mirror back into place. Up, left, and right. Not perfect. Sounds a little crunchy in there, but we got her fixed. All right, guys, so problem number one of our major electrical problems is fixed, and it turns out it wasn't a major electrical problem after all, but that just kind of goes to show you that problems usually are always a little easier than you suspect. Always start with the most obvious and easiest solutions first, because most of the time that's what the problem is going to be. Like, for example, check the fuses first. After you check the fuses, check the switch, look for breaks in the wire, you know, just very obvious things. Once you've done that, then you can dig a little deeper. In my case, it turned out to be just a frozen motor. We're now going to try to figure out the problem with the rear driver's side window. And interestingly enough, when I flip the switch on that rear driver's side window, I can hear what sounds like the motor in here kind of switching on and off, although nothing's happening. I can see all the lights dim when switched, and I can hear something going on inside the door. Obviously it's the motor, so I think we need to take this door panel off too. So here we are at the rear driver's side door. I have the door panel off. You can see I have the switch hooked up, and I also have a test light hooked up, and we're going to test for power when we flip the switch, just to make sure that we're getting power and the switch is working. So here is up, and you can see we have power. And here is down, and you can see we have power. So what that tells me is we do have power, this switch is working properly, And this is the plug that plugs directly into the window motor. So my next question is, why is this motor not working? It could be frozen, just like the problem we had with the driver's side view mirror. Since we've now checked the switch, we've ensured that that works, we've checked the power, we've ensured that there's power. The only thing I can say is the window motor's got to be at fault. Now, I'm wondering if I can take this thing apart and try to fix it myself. And so I've taken the 4 Torx bit screws out of here. They are a T25. And now I'm going to slowly pull the body off this thing, hoping that it doesn't all blow up in my hands. You can see inside there are 2 gigantic magnets in there. Okay, and now just by spinning this, we can start to remove, not exactly sure what this part's called. I'm wondering if we just need to simply clean off these copper contact points here for the brushes. If we look really closely, we can see there is a bunch of debris, especially in between here. I could probably clean a lot of this out and sand this copper down just to make the contact points that much better. I have 800 grit sandpaper here. I'm just going to go ahead and sand it up just a little. Okay, here's my finished product, all cleaned up, sanded up with 800 grit sandpaper, and ready to go. The rest of this thing does look like it's in great shape, so I'm hoping that's all the problem was, just something simple. And the last thing I'm gonna do is get some sandpaper up in there and clean those brushes off, just to make sure that our contact surface is nice and clean. Okay, so everything is clean and reinstalled. All I have to do now is put the cover back on and test her out. All right, I just finished installing this cover. Everything is nice and tight, and we are going to test out the window. Let's see if we did it. What do you think, guys? Pause the video and comment below and let me know if you think we fixed the window. Here we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh my gosh. That is astonishing. I could look at that all day long. Can you believe that? Just by taking that motor apart, cleaning it up, putting it back together, everything seems to be working perfectly fine. I would otherwise have ordered a new motor on Amazon and paid, you know, $35, $40 for it. Went ahead and took the time to take this entire thing with the window regulator apart, taking a lot more time to fix it. And with this way, I was able to take this whole thing apart, learn a heck of a lot, and fix it at the same time, all with spending practically no money. I can't believe I was able to do it. I really can't believe it. I cannot believe that. I mean, that... I just took a window motor apart and fixed it. Well, I tell you what, I just love when a plan comes together. Not that I really had a crazy plan on exactly how I was going to attack these problems, more so just to be positive and know that I was going to figure it out. I knew I was going to start with the simple stuff, check the fuses. If the fuses were okay, I was going to check the switches. And a good way to check the switches without doing anything is just to check for lights dimming when you press them, especially on these older vehicles. Once I figured out that the switches were good, I then removed the door panels looking for any inclination of broken wires or anything like that. Basically, what I thought were 2 major electrical problems that I was gonna have to chase down turned out to be just frozen motors. Both of these were perfect examples of that. This front driver side view mirror was basically just locked up, I'm guessing from really non-use. Once I ripped the whole thing apart and put some grease in there and then started using it, everything seems to be functioning just fine. Same goes for the driver's rear window. It's rarely used, and so I think that it just seized up from non-use. Once I took that thing apart, cleaned everything out, re-lubed everything, put it back together, of course, it's working perfectly now. Well, I couldn't be more happy about the outcome of the day. I set out this morning to tackle these 2 issues, thinking they were going to be big, giant issues I was going to have to chase down. And by the grace of God, I was able to figure them both out. I've said it before, guys, but if you just take the time and put in the effort, we can really make our used vehicles last a heck of a lot longer and also have a lot of fun and feeling of accomplishment by fixing the problems ourselves. Well, guys, today you've seen me work on my 1995 GMC Suburban. I am building this thing up to be an overlanding rig. We've already installed a lift kit and bigger tires, as well as a plethora of other things things. And now I've just tackled a couple of electrical gremlins, well, so I thought. And I think this truck is well on its way to being the perfect overlanding rig, in my eyes anyway. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Also subscribe if you're not already. I'm Jimmy. This is One Road, and I will see you in the next one.